All right, welcome to another SEO Hangouts with Josh Bachynski. We are still in the middle of the summer of hell, the summer of 2013, and Google is still making some changes to the ranking algorithms. We don't know if all of the linking algorithms they said they're going to be bringing out are out already. But I want to make a video now about some of the tremendous leaks that have been put out by Google and some of the research that other SEOs have done, including myself, into what's going on with Penguin 2, the payday loans algorithm, and Panda, and even more, what they're doing and what's going on. So let's get right into, I have tons of them, so let's just get right into them. Okay, so as I said in my not my last video, because my last video was an experiment on Penguin 2 and what exactly that looks for. So if you want to know about Penguin 2, please look at my last video on my YouTube channel. While I'm thinking of it, I'll give you all my contact info. If you want to email me about any information you see here or ask me any SEO questions, by all means, please email me at joshbachynski@gmail.com. You can follow me at Twitter at joshbachynski. And that YouTube channel I was talking about is youtube.com/jbachins, JBACHYNS. So there you can find my Penguin experiment video where I proved or provide some evidence as to what Penguin 2 is looking for. Now the Hangout before that, the SEO rant, my SEO rant before that, was kind of about how we need to come up with a new way of doing black hat SEO for those of you who do black hat SEO, and even gray hat SEO. So this is kind of a warning. Everyone's been mentioning this, and I mentioned this before, but I'm going to get a little bit more into detail about it, about why we need to stop doing the kind of black hat SEO that has been done since, well, early 2000s. That is essentially black hat SEO when it comes to links. Google, of course, as you know, was on a link crusade. Matt Cutts has mentioned at SMX Advanced that they no longer see the editorial link as the primary recommendation signal anymore. They finally realized the blogosphere is dead. They don't think that off-topic links, let's say links from multi-topic pages or multi-topic sites, namely public post blogs, they are quote-unquote not relevant. So they don't think those links are relevant anymore. They're giving spam blogs, these kind of multi-topic public blog links and directory links in Webmaster Tools link notices. So you know whenever they're giving primary examples of the kind of black hat linking people have been doing, you know they're very cavalier about it and they can find probably 90% of it, because they're not afraid of showing you the examples of what they're finding at all. So, and of course the onslaught of Penguin 2 and the payday loans algorithm and those kinds of algorithms, which I'll get to in a second, but those kinds of algorithms clearly are looking for links and clearly have been hitting sites hard for links. And even people who know what they're doing when it comes to black hat linking are getting hit by these linking algorithms. Even people who have been extremely careful, making it look supernatural. So even if they're not finding all those kinds of links now, that is not the point. The point is that by 2014, they're going to, all right? You know, last year, everyone, the white hat SEOs were saying, stop doing the bad linking, stop doing the bad linking, they're going to find it. I never doubted that whether technically they could find it. They're a billion, however many dollar company a year. Technically speaking, they can find the bad links if they want to. They can write an algorithm which is sensitive enough to find those bad links. So do not fool yourself for a second that they can't find these links. How can they tell them apart from the good ones? They can, all right? I doubted that they would have the wherewithal. They are on a crusade that borders on religious fervor to find these bad links, probably because it has something to do with their knowledge panel that's going to be coming out. The way this new burgeoning artificial intelligence they're trying to make in the knowledge panel. To get a Siri like Google that knows things and not just strings, right? So it probably has something to do with that. But they're on, for whatever reason, their arrogance, I don't know why. They're insulted. They think, there's like a competition with them now. I don't know what it is. But they have a religious kind of attack on manipulative signals in general and manipulative linking in particular. So I would not suggest you do that anymore. It might work for the next 6 months in North America, maybe for another year in Europe and other places. But I wouldn't recommend you do that now anyway, because you have to ask yourself these two questions. One, do you want your site to rank in 6 months? Yes or no? If no, then go ahead. Do whatever risky tactic you want to get it ranking now, because you're not going to be ranking in 6 months. But the vast majority of you listeners probably do want your sites to be ranking in 6 months. And 2, can you change domain names? If you can't change domain names and you want your site ranking in 6 months, then you have to stop the bulk linking now, the linking to public blogs, pointing directly to your money site. You have to get off link crack. This is crack, you need to get off it. So these are the recommendations I would like to make if you want to rank in 2014. Well, quite frankly, there's 200 algorithms they use to rank websites. So why are we keep trying to manipulate this one algorithm, right? There's a bunch of algorithms to use. All indications and all leaks from Google say, from John Mueller, Matt Cutts, I could find tons of places that say they're going to be reducing the links they're going to be using. They're reducing the links in general, and they're going to be reducing the editorial links. Any links from a PageRank 0 kind of site, or a brand new site, or a public posting site, or a site that has multiple topics on multiple, especially competitive, spammy niches, are going to be ignored at best and probably demoted at worst. So I would just stop doing that now entirely. And that, not only that, but them saying that they don't see editorial links as the primary recommendation signal anymore, that means they're going to be moving to social recommendations. And they've already been saying that. They said, and I quote unquote, John Mueller said, definitely use social buttons. At SMX, tons of research came out showing that Google Plus and Facebook, 1, profiles, and then 2, site signals, like so +1s and likes on for your site, and then, but more importantly, good Google Plus and Facebook profiles with interaction and sharing and commenting from other profiles that have interaction, sharing, and commenting is much harder to fake and a much better signal. And the research at both SMX and from Searchmetrics, Marcus Tolber from Searchmetrics shows that it will rank sites. So it's about multi-verification for Google these days. They don't just want a high link signal. They want you have some social. They want you have some good usage. So what do they want in 2014, moving into 2014, this is the signals that I think they're going to use to rank in this order. Specificity. So on-page specificity, do you have the keywords in there? Or it doesn't have to be the exact keywords. Do you have the keyword semantic family keywords in there as well? You know, you don't necessarily have to say reviews. You can say articles. You know, actually, I wouldn't say articles anywhere on your site, but that's besides the point. So bad example, but you know what I mean. You don't have to use and spam the exact keywords. You can use keyword synonyms. That's perfectly fine. But the question is it on the page? Because if it's on the page, that's the main ranking signal they're using. And I have tons of experiments and data to prove that to you. URL, of course, is most important. Then the title or the H1 is equally important on page. And of course, it has to be interspersed in the text 2 or 3 times per 500 words. The next thing is, do you have the recommendations? Okay, so clearly your page is about red apples. Good. Now do you have people recommending it? The recommendations do not have to have the exact match query. The red apples, this is the red apples example I always use. Doesn't have to have red apples in the link or the share, but they are tracking links and social. The kind of links, they will still track links. The kind of links they're going to be tracking from now on, though, have got to be high quality, high trust links on the most far from possibly spammy kind of page or site. And social recommendations. Social recommendations, all indications point, 2012 was a little too early, 2011 was far too early, 2013 and now 2014 show that those are the new recommendation signals. That's the new thing you need to get. And again, to your profile, you need to have a built-up social profile because it's harder to spam, so they trust it more, and it has more weight. And there's certain little tricks you need to do there to make that rank even better. I have some secret sauce there, which I've known for probably about 6 months already. If you want to get in on the secret sauce, the secret social sauce, let me know. But then it's also about the signals directly to your site. You know, just buying 100 likes and buying 100 +1s are probably not going to do it. You know, not when your competitors, because, you know, like a +1 is like a link. So if your competitors have a couple thousand links, we're going to need a couple thousand +1s to compete. Probably even more, because it doesn't know, who knows if they're going to be on par or not. But, and of course, you know, the links could be a higher PageRank link or not. A +1 is like a PageRank 0 link. But that's besides the point. So specificity on page, is it about red apples? Recommendations, both links and social. And then the next big one, this is a huge one that people underestimate, is quality. The Panda algorithm is the worst algorithm we have to deal with moving forward. Forget Penguin, forget payday loans. Panda hits way more sites and hits sites harder, and will continue to do so moving forward. So do you have the authorship snippet on the page? That's a good quality signal if people are clicking through on it, and I suspect it will be a quality signal for them moving forward. Do you have good usage? Do people like the page? Is it fast? Are there not too many ads? Do people get the information they want, above 500 pixels? All these kinds of things are built into the various quality algorithms, Panda most specifically. Moving forward, those are the ranking signals that I see that you need to deal with. So here's some more general recommendations in terms of your ranking tactics moving into 2014. Again, I would invest in social. It's not about buying 1 million tweets, but about building up a social presence on the big 4 social sites. Google Plus first, then Facebook. Yes, the stats show that they can crawl it. There are over 5 billion Facebook pages in their index. Clearly they can crawl Facebook. Clearly they're getting signals from it. And don't forget, Rand Fishkin gave us a really nice leak a couple months ago that Google does have an OAuth agreement with a company that has an OAuth agreement with Facebook. So they have kind of a backdoor getting into that, even the private data. So invest in social. But you got to do it right. So if you don't want to know what that is, by all means, contact me. Here's some more general recommendations. Stop, for the love of all the beer and hockey in Canada, stop discussing your tactics on Black Hat forums. That's where they get their ideas. Matt Cutt said specifically that's his job. He says, and I quote, "I go to Black Hat forums and I read what's going on." So stop discussing on Warrior forums. Stop discussing on the Black Hat forums. You have to go dark. They're getting nasty and they're going dark and hiding information from you. So you have to go get nasty and you have to go dark and hide information from them. That means if you're going to stop discussing it at open forums, that means you need to get an expert and go and have private conversations with an expert group or a specific expert like an SEO consultant. You need to have a private conversation with him or her about what's going on. And SEOs like myself, we already have these private networks, right? We already have these groups where we discuss and we figure out what's going on and behind closed doors, and you know, very little of that is actually public. I'm leaking to you the 10%, right? I'm leaking to you guys, and people seem to like my videos and seem to think I provide a lot of good information. I like to think that I do. If you watch my videos, I think you'll see that's true. But guys, I'm only giving you 10% of what's going on. So if you really want to know what's going on, you have to contact me. We have to get into a private kind of relationship here. Also, stop doing what everyone else is doing, because that's what Google's going to find on these forums. That's what Google is fixing. The squeaky wheel gets the grease. Well, that's, you know, all the obvious kind of black hat stuff that everyone is doing. That's what all the whiny white hat SEOs are whining about because they can't compete with it, and that's what they're reporting back to Google. And we see this again and again. So do not go to these black hat forums and do not do the kind of black hat SEO that everyone else is doing. Do the black hat SEO, or it doesn't have to be black hat SEO. Just do the SEO that works and that no one else is doing, right? If you have to be black hat, if you're in a competitive niche, you know what I mean. And here's another thing about those narcs. John Mueller leaked recently that Google will take action on problems that are affecting hundreds of sites. They won't take action on problems that are affecting one site, but if you can prove that the problem is affecting hundreds of sites, they will take action on it. So if you can't beat them, join them. If you can't beat the narcs who are whining to Matt Cutts and John Mueller and getting, you know, these sites taken down, and I've seen it again and again and again, and it does work if you do it in the right way. You can't just tweet him once and he'll do it, but you have to find them on Google+. You have to say something fairly inflammatory that they will respond to, right? Showing them up, right? If you can do that correctly, if you can show that the problem affects a couple hundred sites or even thousands of sites, or you can allude strongly enough that it might, or that it does, that you think it does, then they will look into it. And it's possible that they can derank that site. I've seen them do it. I've seen them do manual actions on sites that people have mentioned, and that site's gone within 24 hours. So it can happen. So is this nasty? Yes. Is this negative SEO? Certainly. But quite frankly, I say do it to your competitor before they can do it to you, because now that linking is getting more and more dangerous to point to your money site, negative SEO has become easier and easier and easier. I'm going to talk about that in a second. Other things I would recommend is start a new site now. If you are worried at all that you are at any kind of risk for any of these algorithms, you're in a competitive niche, you know you've been doing tactics that are no longer above board, that they're going after, start your new site now. Don't just hold your breath and think you're going to be fine. Google is on the warpath. They're beyond the warpath. They are on a religious crusade. All right, their zeal for this has reached crusade proportions. So I use that word with all due negative connotations. So I would start a new site now. I would build a new site now, and this is what you need to do. You need to make sure that it is high quality. You have to make sure that the new site has wow concepts. When people see it, they're going to go, wow. Like because it's so stylistic, it's so nice, it's so easy to use, it's so clear what you're trying to present, and the design is so stylistic and so nice. And you have to build in social call to actions. I would have a big arrow that would pop up after they've been on the site for 30 seconds or a minute and say, did you like our site? Please share us, with a +1 button right there. Big blink. Well, I would make it blink, but almost make it blink, right? Call to action. People will click on this stuff if you give them an arrow. It's amazing what they will click on if there's an arrow pointing to it. So I would do this. I would have call to actions like even a scroll or ticker at the bottom, or a little thing that comes in from the side, right? If you like our site, please +1. Or even a contest to +1, some kind of incentive to +1. If you +1, we'll like you forever. Even if it's cheesy or silly, people respond to that kind of stuff. If you're using really kind of positive kind of brand messaging and kind of kitschy, fun brand messaging, people will respond to that, right? Remember that when you make a new site or when you add content to your site, you must delight users. They must be delighted. You must exceed their expectations. It must be the best site they've ever seen in that category. The information you present has to be super awesome. It has to be super informative, exactly what they wanted. And the design has to be so great that they're like, wow, I have to share this site. Check this site out. It's awesome. You know, because it's so funny, because it's so good, because it's so cool, for whatever reason. Pick your adjective that you want to go for, because it's so interesting, because the information you have is so scary, because, you know, it's like warning, you know, that's the angle you want to go for, you have to have some kind of angle, and you have to delight or impress or surprise your users. At bare minimum, you have to satisfy them. The goal is not just to satisfy them. The goal is not just to have a brochure site with the bare minimum information they want to barely answer their question. That's the bare minimum you need to do. What you need to do, because what your competitors are going to do is, because they're going to listen to my ranting here, they're going to listen to everyone else's ranting, because everyone else is starting to catch up to this that I've been saying for a year. They're going to start to have a really good site, and they're going to do it. And it's not Google's fault necessarily. Google is just kind of like Switzerland in this case. Well, you know, we're going to pick the best site, and it's not our fault that we've made this kind of competition where everyone's competing with each other viciously, right? But at the end of the day, that's the way it works. So they're going to pick the best site. They're going to pick the site that has the best user metrics, and this is how they're going to measure it. Design is now an SEO ranking factor, tracked directly through usage metrics. I'm going to get to a little bit about all the incredible leaks that have gone out, both in this rant of mine and the next rant, probably next week or the week after, about some of the incredible leaks that have come out about how they're tracking this. So people are starting to realize this now, and so more questions are coming out, and so now more information is coming out. So it's very, very exciting. Okay. However, before I get to that exciting stuff, the question is that a lot of you are asking, is fixing Penguin 2.0 possible? Tons of people were hit by Penguin 2.0. A very high-ranking Google employee, well above Matt Cutts, has recently leaked to an SEO contact of mine that I recently found out at a conference in Poland when he and I were there. This is some of the stuff that I'm talking about that we know that we don't let out. But I'm going to let out this one out for you. Recently was leaked by a very high-ranking profile Google employee, far above Matt Cutts, that the disavow file doesn't do anything. It's dead. D-E-D, dead. No, just kidding. It doesn't do a damn thing, is what he said. This is months ago. It was only to make what's the word I'm looking for? It's only to make a mechanism. That's the word I'm looking for. Mechanism. It's only to make a mechanism to allow users to communicate what links they no longer wish to have in their ranking profile. for when you're doing manual reconsideration requests. And then, of course, it was also they're going to reverse engineer it and they have been reverse engineering. I suspect that's what the data they've been using for Penguin 2 and all these linking algorithms they just happen to have just put out. But that was the leak, that it did nothing. So that means that it didn't do anything for Penguin. That means it didn't fix Penguin at all. You could put as many links you wanted in the disavow file. Not only would it not derank your site the way it's supposed to if you put too many links in the disavow file, because it's supposed to no-follow them and therefore cut off all the page rank, it also will do nothing for Penguin. So I tweeted Matt Cutts about this specifically, and he tweeted back to me, you can check it out on Twitter, that he said, yes, it does do something. I also asked John Mueller, and John Mueller says, yes, it does do something. And some of the tests seem to show that it does. So this is begging for an experiment. So watch my videos in upcoming weeks. I'm going to do a specific, when I have some time after I've dug myself out from this hole I got into from going to this conference, from all my clients, help us with our SEO, blah. I've got like a million of them. So I have to dig myself out from that. But after I dig myself out from all that work, I will do an experiment to prove this. It's very simple. I'll take a site that I've been ranking and I'll disavow every single link. And if it goes down or up, we'll know something, right? If it was hit by Penguin, it goes up, we'll know something. If it goes down, then we'll know something. We'll know the disavow file at least does something, so I'll do that. Also, John Mueller has been very specific to not just throw disavow links in your disavow file willy-nilly, because he says it will hurt you. And you can tell by his tone, he's like, no, don't do that. It will seriously hurt you. He believes it. Whether or not he's right or not, he believes that. So I think it probably will do something, and I'll do a test to prove it. Not only should you be disavowing, so speaking of, and so he says you can do preventative disavows. This is the point of that. So John Mueller says you can do preventative disavows before these algorithms come out. So even if you weren't hit by Penguin now, I do suggest you do a preventative disavow, but you have to make sure you get the right links. So in bold, all caps with blinking letters, you have to make sure you get the bad links. I'm sorry, Christoph Kemper, and those who have these kind of find your bad link tools, but I don't trust them. They are just simply, and neither does Barry Schwartz, they're, and other people in the SEO industry, they're simply not fine-toothed and granular enough, right? So you have to get an SEO expert to take a look at these. I would not just do not just throw links in your disavow file, because if it's true that it does something, this will hurt you, right? You have to be much more granular when you're doing it. You have to make sure you're not throwing powerful links in there, because if you get even if you get one powerful link, you can hurt your rankings noticeably from just disavowing one high page rank link. So you have to be very, very careful. So get an SEO professional, such as myself or someone else, but really myself, because I don't even know anyone else good enough to do this, to take a look at it. Because trust me, I get SEOs coming to me because they can't rank sites, and I take a look at what they've been doing, and it's not always the best thing. And so, not to speak critically of my fellow SEOs, but everyone is very busy, and not a lot of people has the time to do the research that I do. Okay, so while you're doing your preventative disavows, moving on with all this information, this includes the negative sentiment links. John Mueller recently leaked to not forget that remember the bad merchant algorithm announced a couple months ago and no one has said anything else about it? Well, John Mueller was asked specifically about it by me, and he said, yes, it would be a good idea when you're doing your preventative disavows to also throw in the negative sentiment links. This means that the bad merchant algorithm is either running now or going to be running very, very soon. The bad merchant algorithm, just to remind you, was an algorithm meant to demote bad e-commerce shops or shystery or snake oil salesman kind of e-commerce sites. And so they want to take into account all of the links out there that said this site sucks, this site ripped me off, here's a link to it. They don't want that to count positively, they want that to count negatively. And so they are counting those, or at least by all indications it seems like they're going to be counting those, and you can disavow those kinds of links from having any negative or positive page rank pointing at you. Okay. And when it comes to fixing Penguin, you can remove you can watch my Penguin 2 video from a couple weeks ago to see exactly how it works. But the upshot of it is that I keep seeing the same pattern. You have an exact match domain with exact match anchor text pointing to it. So if the domain was redapples.com, you have a domain that has high percentage red apples in the links. Doesn't matter if it's redapples.com, buy your best red apples, get red apples here, go red, get apples. It could even be partial match. So partial match and too high percentage of partial match and exact match query links pointing to an exact match query domain, and there's a synonymous there. There's a one-to-one relation there. That's what seems to trigger Penguin and the payday loans algorithm, by the way. I'll get to that in a second. And so when you're trying to fix Penguin, if the disavow file works and the indication direct tweet to me from Matt Cutts says it does, so if that's the case, you need to find those links that have that too high threshold. And again, don't just take all, so if I was running redapples.com and if I was hit by Penguin too, don't just take all of the Red Apples links and throw them all in the disavow file. You have to be a little bit more judicious and throw the weaker, low-powered ones in the disavow file. So if you don't know how to do that, by all means, contact me. I can help you out with that. It's pretty simple to do if you know how and you have the tools. So I can provide that for you without too much trouble. But for those of you who are kind of do-it-yourselfers and you have enough information and have enough knowledge, this is my tip to you and this is my leak for you. That's what my experiments show you need to go for, and this is what the leaks from Google say that will fix it. You have to go for, you can disavow files, and my research shows that you should be disavowing these over-optimized anchor texts. Because remember, Penguin was originally called the over-optimization algorithm, and that's exactly what it looks for, is over-optimization. And don't forget that you have to look at your on-page too. Penguin is not just about off-page links. I showed this for Penguin 1 well over a year ago, that you have to look at your on-page over-optimization as well. You have to remove all keyword redundancy. So again, on this redapples.com example, I would look for all my buy red apples, get the best red apples here, I like red apples. Like, look for all that keyword redundancy, even in the HTML code. Don't forget about your title attributes. Don't forget about alt attributes. And although they say they ignore it, I wouldn't keep your meta keywords in there either if it's stuffed full of ranking keywords. Ranking keywords, especially if it matches what's in your title and your URL and all your backlinks. That spells Penguin, and I've seen it again and again. I've done like 40 or 50 Penguin 2 reviews at this point, and that's what I see again and again. Okay, here is another reminder. Don't forget about negative SEO. I mentioned negative SEO just a little bit ago in terms of routing out your competitors, being the meganarch before they're a meganarch for you. But don't forget negative SEO attempts. This is a very interesting little thing I found for Penguin 2.0. This is a fascinating thing. I have a site that was hit by Penguin 2. And when I looked in the backlink profile, it was one of my sites. And as you can imagine, I'm very careful. I better be, otherwise I'm the biggest hypocrite in the world. I've been saying, be careful, make it look natural. I've been saying that for well over a year. So I was wondering why this site got hit. You know, and I'm not better than Google. They can find anything they want to find. Heck, they could have targeted me personally, right? So I looked into this backlink profile, and it was all good site, great site, reference citation, you know, no exact match query, very little exact match query, and some partial match query anchor text, except for there was a percentage of exact match query in the URL, which I thought could be safe, but I should have known better and still wasn't safe. But I built those links, I bought those guest blog links, you know, quite a long time ago, well over a year ago. So, you know, at that time it was fairly safe, and so I took a risk, which was, you know, probably a foolish thing to do. But what I did do is I built it to a link router. Not that it really matters anymore, because I do not recommend you build links to your money site, but a tactic that was good to use was a link router where you have a 301 that routes link juice, or you have a rel canonical page that routes link juice, and you build the links to that router. And then when the links go bad, you can remove the 301 or you remove the duplicate page with a rel canonical, thus cutting off the link juice. So that's what I did. The only problem is that I forgot to put the rel canonical. I built all these links to index.php when there was no index.php on that site, and it just 404'd. So technically that link should not count. Technically all those links I built to the URL, to redapples.com / index.php should not be part of the link graph. And I don't think that it was. But then I found that this site was hit by Penguin too, and these were the only exact match query links, which on every single other Penguin site I've looked at, which is like well over 30 to 40 at this point, that was the pattern. So I thought, well, this is interesting. And this is kind of plays into the evidence I already found in my last video about Penguin. If you want more information about Penguin 2, look at my last video on my YouTube channel. But it looks like it's just this kind of academic, obtuse mathematical algorithm that if you have over 55% exact match query correlation of anchor text to URL, then we hit you with Penguin. And the links do not, that algorithm does not even bother to check, the Penguin 2 algorithm, this mathematical algorithm, doesn't even bother to check if those links resolve to a page on the site. Because this is a well-known fact, and this is the way it's worked for years. If you have links pointing to a page on your site that 404s, that link juice does not count. And so what I did to that site, I didn't try to do anything yet because I want to see if it bounces back, because some sites bounce back from Penguin. So before I go messing with it, I want to see if it bounces back. But what I did do is I made an index.php, and so now it's getting that link juice. And I did notice that the rankings did improve slightly. So it was probably hit because of those links, but now that I brought those links back and I'm actually getting the page rank that I paid for well over a year ago, the rankings did come up slightly. It did not get back what it lost on the Penguin May 23rd hit or in the subsequent Payday Loans June 5th hit. And it's not a Payday Loans site, by the way. The Payday Loans algorithm is just the name, but it did come back slightly. So that's an interesting little tidbit about Penguin 2. So look into your backlink profile. Now, my segue, what I wanted to mention that for is for negative SEO. This is interesting and terrible negative SEO tactic. That means that, as I said, linking is getting more and more dangerous, and that means it's turning more and more into a negative SEO tactic. So if it looks like, I haven't tested this yet, but it looks like that if you want to be a jerk, you want to negative SEO someone, it would be very easy to fire up your auto-linking software, Scrapebox, XRumors, SEO Nuke, whatever it is, and build a bunch of links that are exact match query links that point to his exact EMD, his exact match query domain, and make it even point to a page that doesn't exist, like see what his web page is serving, like /default.html or index.cf or index.php or whatever, index.html or index1.html, something that looks like an index page that a web server could serve, but that particular web server is not serving, and build a bunch of links to it. They won't get any value, and Penguin 2 might hit them. So it's a terrible negative SEO loophole that's open right now. And of course, I'm mostly saying this, I do not condone any negative SEO, especially if it's illegal. However, I'm mostly saying this so you can protect yourself. So look to see if someone is pointing links to you like this. This could possibly even be hurting you. And another interesting thing, it's about my last point, because I don't want to make these videos too much longer than half an hour. My last point is that this site that also was hit by Penguin, not this one, but another site, one of my test sites that were hit by Penguin, they have totally and completely bounced back. I didn't do a thing to them. I didn't disavow any links or disavow any files. I didn't change any on-site stuff, but they were pulled back because they have really good usage metrics. And when it looks to me, it seems like when Panda, last time it ran, it pulled these sites back out of penalty. Maybe not all the way, but back quite a bit. So John Mueller was recently asked if Panda and Penguin talk, and other people have noticed this, that Panda and Penguin seem to have this reciprocal relationship. If it's hit by one, it seems to be hit by the other one and hit harder. Or if it's hit by one, the other one can kind of save it and pull it out. They seem to kind of work in conjunction. Well, John Mueller was asked if this is the way it works, and John Mueller said, for what it's worth, and I don't see why he would lie about this, because this would incentivize people to be even more squeaky clean above board if it was true. He said that Panda and Penguin do not talk to each other, quote unquote. But it does look like he did say that they do work in conjunction. So if Panda hits you and then Penguin hits you, you'll be even worse. If Penguin hits you, but then Panda promotes you because you're great, you'll go up a little bit. So it's all relative, of course. And this is the way it works with Panda and Penguin as well. So even if you can't fix Panda, do not despair. Or even if you can't fix Penguin, do not despair, Because if you can fix one or the other, you can make things better step by step by step. And who knows, maybe they even, if you're hit by Panda, maybe they trust your site even less. It does look like they're using some kind of threshold algorithm. There's like promotions, quality algorithms, and demoting algorithms. And it looks like the quality algorithms means, they give you a narrower or wider berth, or more trust, more leeway in terms of the demotions. Because it does look like these high authority PageRank sites and these high authority aged PageRank sites that are very popular can get away with a whole lot more. And a lot of people have recognized this in terms of brands. Okay, so that's 35 minutes. That's enough for today. Next time I'll have to get into my very interesting research into the payday loans algorithm. If you were hit on May 23rd or June 5th or June 7th or June 11th or June 25th, it's my contention that this is all the same algorithm. So I have some proof for that, and I hope to show that for you next time. And so that will really help you when you want to fix and diagnose and fix some of these algorithms. But I'll provide some of that proof for next time. So for this time, thank you very much. This has been SEO Hangouts, Read Rants, with Josh Bachynski. And again, my contact information is joshbachynski@gmail.com. And you can follow me at Twitter at Josh Bachynski, and you can watch other videos like this. I've got tons of them about tons of Google leaks that have been brought out over the last year or even year and a half at youtube.com/jbachynski, JBACHYNS. So if you have any questions about SEO or anything I said in this video, or you want to get into some of this secret information I'm talking about, by all means contact me at my email address. And until such a time, good luck in the SERPs, and I hope to build a better and more interesting, it's a very exciting time in SEO and new SEO tactics moving forward for 2014. So we'll talk to you soon.